President Hallway. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We're here today, and we are all public employees, and we represent public employees of the Commonwealth. And in our various tasks of our job, we have as our charge the care for, the service to, and the protection of the citizens of Massachusetts. Every day, we all go about the business of doing so. But on a hot July day this year, while performing her job as a probation officer, Julie Hall stepped up for one of the most vulnerable of our citizens, an infant, and saved that baby's life. The visit was unscheduled, but the impact of her swift action will be felt for a lifetime. The takeaway is that the work we do and how we do it matters. And so we honor Julie Hall with the Humanitarian Award for Excellence in Public Service. Take a look at a video we have, and then I'll call Julie and her supervisor, Assistant Chief Probation Officer Ann McDonald, up to the front.
Knock on the door, heard the baby in the background, I knocked again, I knocked harder.
Probation officer Julie Hall was starting to panic. She couldn't get inside, and she heard that newborn crying.
All the blinds were closed, all the windows were closed, and the air conditioning was not on.
She was very emotional. She felt very helpless. I could hear it in her voice when she was calling me because she could hear the baby, and the baby was just wailing.
Julie was making an unscheduled visit to the home and called police to help her get inside. After knocking an air conditioner out of the window, they say they found the crying baby soaked in urine.
I went into the baby's room, picked him up, and consoled him. And then after I realized that he was okay, he was very hot because he had a lot of clothing on and there was no air.
Julie had been making regular visits to the home after allegations of abuse or neglect. She's thankful she made the surprise visit on a hot summer day and was able to rescue the baby from the dangerous conditions inside.
They try to stop in as much as possible unannounced because that's really when you get a true sense of what's going on in the house. And thank God she did.
And tonight, police continue their investigation of this mother. That boy right now is in foster care.
Julie, Ann. So we're presenting to her the Humanitarian Award for Excellence in Public Service, Julie Hall, Probation Officer, awarded by MAGE, October 14th, 2016. Julie.
Thank you so much. Thank you, President Hallway, and certainly Margaret Thompson and all MAGE members for this honor. I'm very fortunate to love what I do. I love my job, and I work with a fabulous group of people. 2 court officers I told them I would mention that are here today that protect us every day. But I was asked to say a couple of words about the baby, and he, I'm happy to report, is doing extremely well. He is still in care, but he is very well taken care of and very well loved. This award is for all public servants, not just myself, you are all dedicated to keeping people safe on a daily basis. So I accept this on behalf of all of us. Thank you.
I'm just going to be really brief. I just want to thank also for recognizing Julie. First, I need to recognize the fact that the camera adds 10 pounds. Make sure everyone knows that. But I just want to tell a brief story. When this happened, our upper management sent us, the deputy commissioner, regional administrator, our chief sent little emails saying, good job, you guys did a great job. So my chief asked me, he said, did you see that email you got? And I said, yeah. And he said, what'd you think? I said, well, I emailed him back and I said, we do this every day. And he was like, you really didn't do that, did you? I said, no, I didn't. But that's the truth. We do this every day. And Julie's just an example of all the people who do over and above, do a little bit extra because they care about their job and they're dedicated. and we're all doing it with a lot less resources. So I just want to say thank you as well, and congratulations to Julie. Thank you.
Legislation agenda is driven by the communities that back home. He is deeply dedicated to being as accessible as possible to us. Prior to being elected, Joe Congressman served the community of Massachusetts as an assistant district attorney in the Middlesex County and the Cape and Islands. Before that, he served as a member of the Peace Corps in the Dominican Republic, where he designed and implemented an economic development project near Puerto Plata. Born and raised in Massachusetts, Joe is fluent in Spanish and holds a bachelor's degree in management, science, and engineering from Stanford University. He also holds a degree as a JB from Harvard Law School. He lives with his wife Lauren, their daughter Eleanor, and their dog Banjo in Brooklyn, Mass. And let's all put our hands together and have a warm welcome for Congressman Joe.
Morning, everybody. Hey. Hey.
You take that down now.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having me. Dory, thank you for the very kind introduction, and most importantly, for all that you do. From the perspective of a former prosecutor, assistant district attorney in a couple of different courts across the state, where we rely on our court officers every single day, every single moment. You are not only the lifeblood of the courthouse, but you are a critical part that makes our criminal justice system function. So grateful for what you do, grateful for your support. Thank you for your support. It is wonderful to be here with you all this morning, wonderful to be here among friends. One of my first campaign had a meeting over at your offices, not far from here, around a table with David, who goes back an awfully long way with my family and with my dad. And if I remember correctly, there was actually a Red Sox game, so about half the folks were taking off early, so they said it was good I got there on time, because folks were heading out to Fenway. Fresh member of Congress versus the Red Sox, you take what you can get, right? David, you have been an incredible friend to my dad, to me, and all of you for an awfully long time. And I am grateful to be here. I'm grateful for the invitation. Thank you for all that you do, and thank you for your leadership in representing me. Grateful for it. Also want to recognize Julie this morning for her heroic actions and light that cast a light on the mentality of public servants in Massachusetts and throughout our country. You guys do this every single day without seeking attention and diligently working to improve the lives of others. Julie jumped in and saw an opportunity to help somebody else. Thank you for saving a toddler's life, for the work you've done every day before and every day since. Grateful for it. Grateful to be here. And I can't go on much further without thanking the guy giving me a hug. Walked in this morning and said, I was putting up signs for you in Mansfield. It's like, thanks, you can put more up. Kevin, thank you. Thank you for your friendship, thank you for your support, thank you for your dedication. Thank you for what you do for Democrats and the Democratic Party. But most importantly here for all of us, thank you for what you do to show what community is all about, what believing in each other is all about. What you have done in Mansfield, which is not the bluest of the blue communities. But so important then that we have an outpost in a community to show what we stand for and to fight for it every single day. And I'm grateful for your friendship, I'm grateful for your partnership, and thank you for the photo. To everybody else, I am honored to be here with you this morning. Thank you for the time. Thank you for letting me come on by. It's an honor to stand with the working men and women of Massachusetts. Without all of you, without the nurses, the psychologists, the officers, the attorneys, the custodians, the teachers' aides, the truck drivers, and everyone else here in this room, our country would grind to a halt. Thank you for making us who we are. Labor is part of who I am. My family has had an incredible relationship with the labor movement for decades. My uncle, my father were able to stick their necks out because they knew you all always had their backs. And when you needed them, they were there for you as well. Nothing makes me more proud than to be able to continue that partnership today. Particularly at a time when the relationship between our communities, our business community, our economy, and working families is more critical than ever before. Is our economy better off than it was 8 years ago? Yes, it is. Unemployment is down, business growth is up, and a real recovery is underway. All of that is true. Did middle class wages grow last year at one of the highest rates in recent memory? Yes, they did. We still have a long, long way to go, folks. The economic gains that we have made over the course of recent history still have yet to affect so many working families. In fact, since our economic recovery began in 2009, 95% of all economic gains have gone to the top 1% of American wage earners. That fastest growth on record brought the average American household up to $56,000 a year, right around the same level where it was 30 years ago. Had the minimum wage in this country kept pace with inflation, it would be nearly $11 an hour. Had it kept pace with productivity, it would be well over $20 an hour. Instead, we're stuck at $7.25, keeping millions of American families below a poverty line. And the cost of living in this country continues to outpace any sort of wage growth we see. Over the past 20 years, the cost of college has risen by over 50%, the cost of housing by over 60%, and out-of-pocket healthcare expenses by 150%. Simply put, we find ourselves in a system where it is nearly impossible for working families to stay ahead. And so we look to our government for a response. And how has Washington responded? You guys know this just as well as I do. My Republican colleagues are in fact making it even harder. Refusing to raise the minimum wage, supporting union-busting policies from their champions in Wisconsin to Indiana to New Orleans, gutting critical safety net programs like food stamps and affordable housing, and all the while proposing tax cuts that are going to benefit the wealthiest 1%, the very people that need that help least. Their politics are holding good policy hostage. And it's our recovery and working families across this country that end up paying the price. The concept of growing an economy from the middle out that so many of us in this room champion, it isn't just a catchy phrase. It's what we've seen over the course of our country's history, what powers and grows a middle class. And it's a strategy that one candidate out there in this race for the presidency knows all too well. And the other one, I have no idea what the heck he believes. Folks, 80 years ago, this country faced an economic crisis even deeper than the one that we face today. And how did we respond in the midst of a Great Depression? By gutting the federal budget, implementing fiscal austerity, rampant deregulation, slicing back wages and rolling back benefits? Actually, exactly the opposite. We invested in our people. We invested in our country. We passed labor protections, workforce investment acts, Social Security, Medicare, or Social Security, unemployment insurance, disability, in attempts to actually invest in our people. And we did everything so that we could get those folks back to work, helped underwater homeowners stay afloat, and repaired a badly broken public works system. And you know what happened? It worked. Spectacularly well. And we grew the biggest, most robust middle class that our country and the world has ever seen. So for many of you in this room today, it was your grandmother or grandfather, mom and dad on the front lines of those fights. And today, it's many of you. And once again, your country and your community needs your help.
As we fight for $15 an hour to make sure that every single worker in this country gets a decent living wage and families don't have to live below the poverty line. For the safety and security of our police officers, our firefighters, and our EMTs, who put their lives on the line every day to protect ours. For the pensions that you have earned and the health care benefits that you deserve. For the fundamental right to collectively bargain, the very foundation of economic justice in our country. What started a century ago as a fight for decent wages, decent conditions, and decent hours has become today a full-fledged battle for the fundamental American idea of all. That opportunity in this country is not based on the promises we make, but based on the promises that we keep. And that is where the line between these candidates, I believe, stands brightest. Secretary Clinton has dedicated her entire life to advocating for the needs of others, giving voice to the voiceless and fighting for working families, literally, for decades. Her opponent believes that $1 million loan that his father gave him amounts to a, quote, very, very small loan. And we know that number actually was closer to 14 million from what he said later. Secretary Clinton has said that she will raise the minimum wage and strengthen collective bargaining. Her opponent doesn't believe in paying his own workers when he doesn't feel like it. You guys know the stakes of this election as well as anybody. And you know that in many respects, the future of the labor movement will be decided on November 8th. Make no mistake, workers' rights are on the ballot that Tuesday. The strides that we've made from Boston to Seattle, we reaffirmed when Hillary Clinton is sworn in as the next president of the United States. And once again, I know that we all are on the right side of this fight when we'll be standing together at that victory party. And I'll be up there chanting, as my uncle taught me, the way you spell Kennedy is L-A-B-O-R. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you most importantly for what you do every single day to prove, most importantly, what our country is supposed to be all about. People that are going to work every day, trying to keep a roof over your head, food on your plate, your kid in a good school, save for retirement, and make sure that your children have a better future than you inherited. It's all working families are asking for. And your system has made it harder and harder to actually deliver. You here this morning, gathered together, prove to me and everybody else that is paying attention that we still believe in the power of coming together. We still believe in investing in each other. And we know that as hard fought as these victories have been, and as challenging as these times are, the way that we win them is by coming together and showing that mankind has yet to create a problem that 320 million Americans rowing in the same direction cannot stop. You guys remind us of that every single day. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for having me. Grateful for the opportunity.
Done a fantastic job getting after it, enforcing our wage and hour laws here in the state. I'll have you know, just this year alone, and we've still got a few months to go, she's collected over $1 million for workers in this state, issued 64 citations, and entered into 13 settlement agreements. That's just Lisa in just this year alone. So Lisa, thank you for the great, incredible work that you do for our office. So I am really proud to be able to work in an office that is about the people in the state. We call ourselves the people's lawyer, the people's law firm for a reason. And I mean that from the core of who I am. It's what I ran on, it's what I believe the office is about. And nowhere is that evidence more day in and day out than in the work of our Fair Labor Division. I'm so proud of my colleagues and what they do. And I'm so proud of the partnerships that we have and are looking to grow even more with organized labor. It is so important. This totally crazy election season drives that home to me every day. It is more important than ever that we are working together to support working people, to support the right to organize, support the people who truly have made, and the systems that have made America great. And I want you to know I stand with you 100% in the efforts now and going forward. It is that important. I also want you to know that our opportunity within the Attorney General's office is to partner on any number of issues. And you guys have gotten after it this year in a big way, and I think it's great. I know you got a particular focus today on the important issue of workplace safety, really, really important for our own employees, for every worker in Massachusetts. And your agenda of economic security. Again, this is at the core of sustaining and ensuring that we have families who are well situated, that we have communities that are healthy and vibrant, and really this is about the middle class and making sure that we are doing everything we can to maintain what is supposed to be a democracy in our society. And I know some days it seems to be continually, attempted to be undermined and eviscerated in any number of ways. And I just want you to know that I know how important the work is that you all do and what you're about. And I am here with my team to stand in solidarity in fighting for that shared and common agenda. I also want to just acknowledge, where's Julie Hall? Hey, congratulations. Let's give Julie another round of applause. That's awesome. So many of you go above and beyond every day in the work that you do, and you never know when you're going to be called into action or to service. But you're all in jobs where fundamentally it's about taking care of people. And how that happens day to day may vary. We can never predict. But that's a wonderful story and just a wonderful example of the kind of effort that you and your members bring to your endeavors day in and day out, and why those efforts need to be celebrated, why they need to be respected, and why sure as heck they not need to be undermined. And so congratulations, Julie. I want to, you can clap again, that's great. So one thing that we talked about when I started, it's hard to believe that it's 22 months, it's flying by. But it's been a terrific, terrific 22 months. One of the things we talked about at the outset, and we had some conversations with Dave about this, was it would be really good to bring more people into the Attorney General's office and help that really inform and drive the work that we do. I think it's really important that we have our ear to the ground so that when I act and our office acts, when we're making decisions and we're moving on issues, we know they're issues that people care about. We know that they're issues that are going to make a difference in the lives of people and families across the state. So one way we thought about doing that was to create a labor advisory council. And we did this about 6 months ago. It's the first of its kind, first one in our office. And the idea is we're going to meet as a council regularly to ensure that we're having an open dialogue with our partners in organized labor. Dave graciously agreed to serve as member, which is terrific. I know Teresa's been at meetings or will be at meetings. Bobby's been. It's been terrific, Dave. We already met. I've gone to 2 already in the last 6 months. And I can see the difference that it's making in our investigations, in our cases, the kind of information that we're hearing and then responding and reacting to. It's been terrific. So I appreciate that. It's a great idea, and I think it'll work out really well. We're going to continue with that. Pay equity. Let's give it up for pay equity, right? How about that? My God. Talk about enough already. Such a way too long in the making. But as we went through this legislative sort of debate, I'm sorry there was too much debate about it. The reality was to make it real, to make it concrete. Certain things actually did need to get done so that it wasn't just pretty talk, because that does nobody any good. And as an office, we're not in the habit or business of drafting legislation, but this is a little different. This is something that I care deeply about, ensuring that there is equal pay for equal work. We know that this doesn't just benefit women, it benefits the entire family. It benefits our entire economic ecosystem. And so we were happy to roll up our sleeves, work together with colleagues, on language that is going to be good for employees, going to be good for employers, and is going to be good for the health and well-being of the Commonwealth of this state. There are tools now available through this legislation. And you've heard soon to be president, I hope, right? We're going to get out there and do what we need to do. You've heard Hillary Clinton talk about this. The Massachusetts law is the first of its kind in the country. Again, another example of Massachusetts leading. And it's unique because it actually provides the incentive to employers to do the right thing. And it provides the protection to employees to ensure that they won't be mistreated when they go in for job interviews and when they go in for employee evaluation and reviews. And you know, this is so important. It's not the be-all and end-all. It's not a silver bullet, I say, to address problems of variety of inequities that exist in the workplace. But it's real, and it's a really, really good start. Prohibiting employers from keeping their workers from talking about how much money they make. Giving us the stronger tools to really address discrimination and giving those incentives. I went down to the White House a few months ago and met Lilly Ledbetter. Talk about pretty, she's something else. Lilly Ledbetter, who you know was stiffed by her employer for a long, long time, didn't find out about it until years later, and unfortunately, because so much time had gone by, and she was kept in the dark, the Supreme Court, another important reason you need to get out and vote for Hillary Clinton, the weight of so many issues rests in the balance of who's going to be on our next Supreme Court. There will be no less than 4 Supreme Court justices probably appointed by our next president. But that Supreme Court unfortunately made a decision that gave Lilly no relief. But we saw what President Obama did, and people swung into action, and now we have the Lilly Ledbetter Paycheck Fairness Act. But you know, one of the things that we were down there talking about was pay equity. In Massachusetts, we were down there, it was on the heels of the Senate voting unanimously in support of the legislation here, and people look to us as a state to lead. Where we go, others will follow. So I thank you all for your commitment, your advocacy in getting that done, because it's going to mean something here, and it's going to mean something in states, I predict, across this country. Another thing that I'm so delighted about is earned sick time. Voters acted, right? I was happy with my election back in 2014. I was also really happy that voters voted to ensure that nearly 1 million workers in the state, vulnerable workers, for the first time were going to have earned sick time, an ability to earn that time to take care of their kids, parent themselves in the ways that you know are so important. These are core benefits, core things that you think about on behalf of your members. So that's terrific, and one of the things that my office had to do out of the gate was craft and implement these regulations to make it work. And again, I want to thank you for your help in that. Many thanks to the unions who worked with us to develop those regulations and to get this up and running, and it's working incredibly well. And I want you to know that I've heard from colleagues in other states. They've reached out to us asking, how did you get this done? How did this happen? What does it do? What does it involve? That's a good thing. Another instance where Massachusetts can lead and show states, other states, the way. I believe, like you believe, it is so important to support our employees and our workers. You know, some of you know I am the daughter of a school nurse and a high school history teacher and coach. And he also was head of his local union for a long time, so we used to sit around the kitchen table before practice or after practice, and he'd be running off to some negotiation session, and I learned firsthand the importance of what it meant to be a family with the benefit of union membership, and that is really, really important to me. And I know how important it is to support the employees that I work with, my colleagues in the office. They are overworked and underpaid, but I have tried to make some changes over the last year. When I came in, I instituted right away 6 weeks of paid parental leave, job-protected paid parental leave, after the birth or adoption of a child. Now, we were the first state agency to offer that, and it was terrific. We worked with Bobby and Teresa to work everything out, make sure that everything worked for our unionized staff in the office as well. I believe that all Massachusetts workers deserve the right to job-protected paid leave for a serious illness, for a child, you name it. And that's going to be a key discussion in our next legislative session. I will stand in solidarity and in strong support. It is a short-term investment for what is such a long-term gain, right? I know that happy workers are productive workers, are engaged workers. You got to take care of people in this world. It starts with taking care of people. Everything goes from there. And it's going to be a fight in the next session, but it's a really important one. Again, this is about core economic security and who we are and our values. We also instituted a new flexible schedule with telecommuting and with a flex schedule, recognizing the realities of what families are dealing with today. And these changes, I believe, will support families and allow our staff to be even more productive and lead an even more well-balanced life than they're currently able to lead. So those are some of the things that we've done in the office. I also instituted a training on unconscious bias out of the gate. There's a lot of talk about bias these days, implicit bias. There's a lot of talk about a lot of things these days. But I'll tell you, that was important to me because I need to make sure that we see each other through the lens, through the eyes of the other's experience, and that we don't let the biases and the stereotypes and the stuff that we naturally carry with us, formed through just years of growing up in the world. We don't want that to impact our interactions with the public that we serve, our hiring or recruiting decisions, you name it. And so it was terrific. I thought we had a wonderful training for all state troopers, investigators, paralegals, you name it, support staff and lawyers in my office. And that's the kind of vibe I want to bring to the office and to workplaces, and I encourage that. I will tell you, the good thing about that, one of the good things that came out about that is a little while later, the Massachusetts Police Association said that they were going to make it mandatory for all new recruits. Again, I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Let me talk to you just for a minute about some of the work that you all have done in organizing to fight for the rights and protections of state and municipal workers. The extension of the OSHA standards to state executive branch workplaces was 45 years in the making. This was a hard-fought victory in 2014, and I know you continue to push for the same standards in all of our municipal workplaces in the Commonwealth. I thank you for that. Our public employees perform some of the most dangerous types of work daily. Safety is so critical for all employees, and it's a top priority for me, as you can imagine, and for my team. Finally, I mentioned the Supreme Court. This is really, really important, folks. The Friedrichs decision, incredibly important decision, and were it not for the death of Justice Scalia, things would have gone the other way. That case is going to come up again, and I'm really proud that our team worked to lead. We drafted the state amicus brief, got other states to join its support, and we're going to be there for the next fight, working to organize attorneys generals from around the country to support the U.S. Department of Labor's efforts to level the playing field for unions that are working to organize. And even here in Massachusetts, we've been busy defending challenges in court. We're going to continue to do this. Because for me, this is about treating people fairly. This is about our values. This is about who we are as a community, as a state, as a nation. And I'm really proud to be from Massachusetts, to represent Massachusetts. And I'm really proud to stand with you and for my office to stand with you in the labor movement. I think you think about issues of social and racial and economic justice, right? This is core stuff. And unfortunately, over the last 18 months, a lot of that has been frayed. And the country has experienced this incredible amount of divisiveness and rancor that really is not reflective of who we are or who we're supposed to be. And we need to get to a place of aspiration and a place where we once again reaffirm our values and our commitment to those values. And the best way to do that is coming up here in November. Elections matter. Elections have consequences, big time. And we know that this election has so many consequences. For anybody who cares about equity in the workplace, anybody out there with a young boy or a young girl, and you're wondering about what your child, what your grandchild is going to grow up and experience, this election matters big time. If you haven't seen Michelle Obama's speech, and I'm not talking Democrat, Republican, I'm talking as an American. Watch the speech that Michelle Obama delivered yesterday in New Hampshire. It is really powerful, and to me, it is, as she transcended all nonsense when she spoke at the convention, she once again transcended and delivered, I think, a really powerful statement of what it is we're supposed to be about and what it is we're supposed to do. So I ask you, for the sake of voting rights and pay equity, women's access to health care, for economic security, for leveling the playing field, for repealing Citizens United and the outplaced role that corporations play in driving and running this country, that you guys get out there and do what you need to do. And you reach out to family members and friends in other states. It's that important. It matters at the state, local, and federal level. So much is in the balance. And on the other side, this Attorney General's office will continue to stand with you. Thank you for all that you do. Have a wonderful weekend.